These numbers are pretty big, but I can see it starts with an x cubed, so I'm probably using one of these formulas. And I can't think of any number that multiplies by itself 3 times to make 5, so there's got to be a common factor here. Not to mention, if this ends in 0, I know 5 goes into it. So I'm definitely going to kick this problem off by factoring out a common factor of 5. And that means this would be x cubed. Now, this I don't necessarily know off the top of my head, so I might get a calculator out, and if I need to figure out what to multiply 5 by to get 320, of course I'm doing 320 divided by 5, which would be 64. So now my next job is to figure out what would I cube to get x cubed, and what would I cube to get 64. So I can start filling in the other side of this pattern that works. So the 5 just gets carried around. And what would I multiply by itself 3 times to get x cubed? X. What do I multiply by itself 3 times to make 64? I don't know. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 cubed is 8. It's not 8. It's not 2. I mean, you can get a calculator out for this if you want to. 4 times 4 is 16. Times 4 is 64. Check on your calculator if you don't believe me. That 4 to the third power is 64. So that's what I would cube to get 64. Now that I have these guys nailed down, I know the first term in the second set of parentheses is whatever this guy was squared. I know the next term is the product of these guys, so multiply them together to get negative 4x, but then flip the sign. Right? That's what this says. This says the middle term is these guys multiplied together with the opposite sign. And this last term is, it says b squared. So like whatever you put here, you square it. That's the last term here. So since that's 4, it's plus 16. And that's the factored form. And as I've said at the end of many of these videos, if you don't trust that or you don't like that, you shouldn't. Take x, multiply it by this, this, and this. Take negative 4, multiply it by this, this, and this. You'll get some x cubes, you get some x squared, you get some x's, you get a constant, but when it's all settled, all the x squared terms will cancel, all the x terms will cancel, and all you'll be left with is x cubed minus 64. And you'll see that this pattern, every time you multiply it out, ends up leaving you with just the a cubed and the b cubed and nothing else. It's a good thing to do. Good luck.